Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. I'm Kevin O'Bing, and for my second video I thought I would give you a proper introduction to both myself, hi, and to the drawing. Um, I'm not going to bore you with a lot of details on either for right now, but for context, I'm in my early 30s, I live in New York, I'm originally from Maryland, and I've been an artist my whole life. And I've also been a huge fan of monsters, which is why today I'm starting a part one of a series of videos to chronicle my creative process and how I will evolve an image over time. The image we're going to do today is Mary Shelley and Frankenstein's monster. Um, so I thought, what better way to celebrate? And so this is actually a little different of a drawing for me than normal, because normally I would just sit down here at this table and I would go with no plan. But today I actually have a plan. So I might refer to this throughout the video. It is rare of me to do a reference drawing, but I drew that image first and decided it deserved to be bigger and that I could do more with it, that I'm going to add some text from the book. Hopefully, I'm going to try and do it in a calligraphy style. I'm not sure for now. We'll see. I tend to improvise. You're going to learn that as we go. And as always, if you have any helpful advice, you can leave it in the comments and I will be sure to read it. But for now, let's just start drawing. Okay, so starting off with the drawing, you can see that I had already built a rough kind of character sheet. That was going to be Frankenstein's monster. But I put that there just to kind of create a guide for where everything's going to be. And then I start with Mary. And I'm keeping the details on this one limited, just because I kind of envision it to be heavy on blacks and shadows, and I like a sort of getting as much detail out of little kind of lines as I can. And also, as you can see, I'm using a photo reference, which is something I do pretty regularly, even though I don't do practice drawings or drawing references. But the photo you're seeing, that's pretty minimal. So to keep with that, I am going to eventually fill out her dress and what will be the monster's coat all in black. And I'm going to blend them together, but that's for another video. Here I am working on the eyes, and I'm pretty glad this time around. You can see I'm fiddling, going back and forth on the eyes a little bit, but for the most part, I didn't have second eye syndrome like I know so many other artists that do. And I didn't overburden the nose or the mouth or the chin, and in fact, I am trying to stick to the drawing as much as possible, and the most work I'm really putting into this is with the hair, which honestly, there's a lot of things where I look at my drawings and I think, oh God, I really need to work on that. Hair is one of them. Shadows is another, but fortunately this drawing is this painting that I'm using of Mary is pretty good about conveying where the shadows are. And I finished it up, Mary's outline. So I'm going to start on the monster, and you can see I am using another reference, that's not so much one I plan on copying. That's just when I envision the monster based off of the way Mary Shelley describes him. When I envision Adam the way Mary Shelley describes him, which is the monster's name, it's not Frankenstein. Fight me if you want. Please don't fight me. I don't want to fight. It's just in the book. But that is beside the point, because when I imagine the monster based off of Shelley's description in the book, Bernie Wrightson comes closest. So I used a quick little search, basically to kind of get into the mojo, borrow some of that classic, iconic, inspirational Bernie Wrightson mojo. And you saw there that I had to erase the body a couple times and pull out the drawing reference, which I guess you could say I'm glad I had. That's not uncommon when I draw. I sometimes have to erase and redraw and erase and redraw and erase and redraw and erase and redraw and on and on and on and on, over and over again. So it's something that I don't feel ashamed about unless the erase marks or the pencil marks leave too great an indentation. But I'm pretty good with this one. And you can see the blocking is different since I have so much more room with Adam. And I wanted to try and convey the fact that he is 8 feet tall. And with the extra room on the page comes extra room to give Adam. And yeah, again, you can kind of see, like, I've tried to highlight with my pencil where the folds in the coat are going to be, but again, not too heavy on detail. And I am putting a lot of effort into the lapels of the coat because fabric is very hard for me to draw. It is one of those things like shadows or like hair where I really look at it and am not entirely pleased with my own work. And also drawing the way the coat looks hanging off of someone's chest, especially men, I'm never happy with that either. So I'm really trying to remember everything I've learned over time about that, all the other images I've copied, all the photos I've looked at, and I've tried to keep it to a minimum. That's why there's only a little accent of chest. Now with this one, with Adam over Shelley, it is going to be a bit more difficult for me. This process is a bit more difficult because I am freestyling. And you can see that with the hair. I'm making it up all as I go, which is why his features are being drawn and redrawn. I almost tried to do a Bernie Wrightson style mouth because the Bernie Wrightson style mouth, the teeth really protrude, which I think is more in Shelley's book. But I've always imagined that that's just when he opens his mouth. And I like the tight-lipped kind of grimace. And just between us, because we're friends, it's a little easier to draw. But you're not going to tell anyone. You're not going to judge. This is a safe space. You can see I'm doing the nose and the eyes now. And I had to take a quick break and didn't set up the camera the same when I came back, which is why it's a bit further away and the details might be a little more obscured. But I'm still working on the fine details here, and I even switched up to a finer pointed pencil. It's pretty much the same as the thick lead pencil, except for the width of the point. Because I know all of the art terms, because I'm really, really, really good at this. Yeah. Here I am again, and I am doing the hair, and I'm erasing the hair. Lots of erasing, but I'm trying to remember to really keep it simple, because I have a brush pen, and with a brush pen, which I'm going to use for the inking stage, it's a hell of a lot easier to do hair, just because the brush pen can flow where, in a way, a pencil can't. And that's something I'm trying to remind myself as an artist, is to trust the simplicity of the pencil work and let the complexity come out later in the pen work. Because part one is just a draft. It's not finished until it's all inked. And I realized that maybe you'd want a close up, so here I am. I moved it. You can see how I'm working on the fingers. I oftentimes will look at my own hand and trying to figure out the way it's positioned. And I did what I did this way because I wanted to make it a more gentle hand on her shoulder. I didn't want to make it seem menacing. So I tried to make his fingers look a little less tense on her shoulder. And there you go.